All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Legend of the Three Kingdoms. Yes, this is one of my homebrew D&D campaigns set in my weird, messed up homebrew D&D campaign setting, and the people below me think that they won last week. Think being the key word there. And now they have to deal with the aftermath. Announcer events. Zeuthon happened over the weekend. I think they did 15,500 that they raised for Able Gamers, which is the highest amount they have ever raised.
That is awesome.
I kept checking in on. I was just like, damn.
They did very, very well.
Damn.
I'm a little bit upset with myself because I couldn't be a part of it this year. Mostly because the year that I started doing stuff with them is when they saw their first big jump in donations and everything. And then last year we saw an even bigger jump. And then this year they saw an even bigger jump. And up until this point, I just kept telling them it was because I was involved. And now they know that wasn't true.
No. If you'd been there, it would have been even more.
Oh, that's how it works. Yeah. No, they did they did an amazing job. So congratulations to them. Tears of the Realms is back this Saturday. So if you've been missing out on the hijinks of just my Zelda themed nonsense. Other than that, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Big Beast came out last week or the week before. I can't remember. There was a huge hubbub about AI art that was mostly lies and misinformation. And I made a video about it on my YouTube channel where I still had someone trying to argue that Wizards of the Coast was in the wrong about AI art that they didn't even know existed, but sure, whatever. Yeah. Also, Baldur's Gate 3 came out, and it's crazy good. And anyone that's watching us right now, instead of playing that game, thank you for stopping playing the game, because I know quite a few people who just can't do that.
They're just taking a break.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're playing this on another screen. Thank you.
It's possible. You know, if you're playing Baldur's Gate while you're watching us, thank you. You are double D&Ding. You are DDD. There's a lot of D's.
DD and D&D.
So yeah, my buddy DK, he's been streaming it for the past like week-ish, since the day after it came out. And every time he starts up his stream, he's like, "Hi, welcome to the stream. I can stop whenever I want to. I just don't want to. Okay? So there's not a problem. I just don't want to stop playing this game. So you need to stop looking at me like that. Because I'm fine. I can stop whenever I want to."
Every time he turns the camera on, he should just put makeup on to look paler and paler.
He doesn't need makeup.
It's like
for
baggy
that.
eyes.
He's from Wisconsin, like
I'm
me.
fine.
We don't have melanin. All right. So, that being said, I think that is all of our announcer murmurs. You guys want to actually get into the game itself? Does that sound kind of cool?
Sure.
Okay, for that overwhelming...
I heard there's a very flammable tower in this game.
Yes. Yes, the giant slick tower of metal. Very flammable. So now it's time for us to return to the legend of the Three Kingdoms. The party have found the king and queen of Valakovia. After arriving at the highest point in Demise Tower, after trying in vain to discover what the magic was that was forcing them to go to random floors, by pure happenstance, they landed on the top floor and discovered two very strange-looking cells. First one had a man dragging a large gun blade around, seemingly focusing on nothing. The second one had an older woman sitting patiently in the center of it. As soon as Argenta entered the first cell, however, she discovered that inside the cell was much more than a simple man wandering around. The cells seemed to be containing concentrated suffering and sorrow that wreaked havoc with the minds of those inside them, forcing them to live through the worst experience they could imagine. The king seemed completely impossible to reach. Every attempt to break him out of this prison of his own mind failed. So Vala went over and spoke with the queen. Discovered that she was in a realm of perpetual suffering, that she was powerless to aid, and she had learned to ignore all of it by simply focusing on love, which gave them the idea to attempt to break the king out in the same way. And after trying and failing a bit to find something the king cared about enough to break him from his own torture, they did. And the king came and saved his queen. And that is where we pick up the game. So, I think what I want is that. So, to kind of bring us back into where we were, if I remember correctly, last time we ended right as the king went in, got his queen, and started taking her out of the cell, right? Or was there something else we did? Okay. So, all of you, and Vala, did you go in with the king to kind of guide him in, or am I remembering something different?
We both did, Vala and Rowan.
And Rowan? Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys watched as he took her hand.
Rowan told a big old lie.
Oh, yeah. And we'll have to deal with that in a second here.
Go ahead.
I mean, beheading isn't nearly as painful as it sounds. Especially with a sword that explodes. So as he takes her hand, and you can kind of see the kind of magnetism between them, the first thing that you guys notice while you are inside the cell is the wailing and the screaming starts to get quieter. And it's not that the people around you have stopped yelling or screaming or anything. It's almost as if someone is just turning the volume down. And as you guys kind of look around, as the queen looks up to her husband's eyes, slowly starts standing up, you guys watch as it almost feels like the room that you're in is slowly moving away from you. Things start to feel like they're fading. And pretty soon, all of the chaos and the noise and the smells and the sights and everything around you has become a very unpleasant memory. And as you guys finally kind of look around, you are again in the tower. And again, unlike the rest of the floors of this tower, this is a relatively stark white, very large room. All the cells only have half walls. Argenta and Rowan, you guys can still feel the presence of suffering around you. It doesn't seem like this has somehow broken the hold that suffering has over this cell. It's simply kind of kept it at bay for a little bit.
We still have that muted color filter.
Kind of. And you guys can you guys can still feel that the kind of sorrow and suffering is trying to fight its way back in. So, with that information, what would you guys like to do?
Before you two talk or do anything else, can you step out of the cell? I'm talking to the king and queen.
Um, because you are outside, they don't seem to be able to hear you.
Oh,
And also, Relwyn and Vala seem incapable of hearing you as well.
I think Vala would start guiding them
Okay.
out.
So as you all...
Relwyn is shutting the fuck up, and he's just keeping his head down, feeling like an absolute fuck.
As you guys could come out, as you step through the kind of entryway into this cell, you feel this kind of immense weight just kind of lift off of your shoulders as you get out of the concentrated suffering. And as the king and queen could come out, you can watch their expressions change as they come out, and you can see the waves of release go over them as they leave. The queen, you can see, kind of staggers a little bit as she comes out, not quite expecting the release. As she goes out, you can see she kind of wavers a bit, and the king holds her up. Takes a few moments, and she turns to him. I'm fine, darling. But it seems we have some people to thank. And she turns towards the rest of you.
I'm assuming that I was with them the whole time.
Yes, you were very quiet for some bizarre reason, but you were there.
Alright.
Effectively, after arguing for a little bit and hearing the sound of metal footprints, you all went upstairs and you appeared in this top floor.
Alright.
So you didn't miss a ton aside from that.
Alright.
So yeah, she kind of looks at you, and the king goes, "Yes, I feel thanks is in order, gratitude, even. You have done a great service for country of Valakovia and for me personally, and as soon as I discover where we are and get back to Valakovia, I will of course reward you a fitting amount." Yes.
Vala will just lean over to Relwyn and be like, I just wish you would have told me about the pregnancy thing sooner. Why didn't we lead with that?
Please shut up.
Yes,
Argent.
Master Cleric, is it?
Relwyn. Yes. Before we celebrate, I'm going to anticipate that the warden here is not going to be too thrilled with what just happened.
Warden.
There have been other cells that people have messed around with, and he's gotten very active. And
cells.
This is a
where exactly are we?
Okay, I'm gonna give you the. Let's give him a short version.
Yeah.
There was an ancient vampire in Sanguinius that was tearing open portals between different planes, getting all your countries to open portals to further his experiments. His experiment succeeded. He opened a plane to a sort of like pocket dimension. I'm paraphrasing based off of this one, and I point at our resident arcanist Vala.
Okay.
A sort of pocket dimension in the plane of shadows that he has entire domain over, and none of us can escape. And you've been in this prison the whole time, as far as I'm aware.
Rowan just has a far-off look as you're recapping his world.
Well, that certainly is the down and dirty of it. How long have I been here? I lost track of the days.
We had, I would say all quit involved in according grace. But we don't know, we
I've
all
personally,
came
uh,
in at different times.
yes, I've personally been
So,
here
I
about
mean,
10 months.
yeah,
Well, that's
Some of us have
upsetting.
been here a lifetime.
Um, but as now we know our prison, and the first step to escaping a prison is knowing of its existence.
Yeah.
So one of you mentioned something about a warden.
yeah, there's some kind of weird so that's why that somehow keeps the prisoner in the thousands. Yeah,
Well,
That that reminds me. Do
and
either
I'll
of you,
describe them.
okay.
yeah, and can either of you read that script? And I just kind of gesture to the floor marker.
He looks at it. It seems colorful.
I can tell you it is the complete antithesis to the Dark Lady.
I languages were never my strong suit. Darling would she was much better with them than I ever was. And you see her kind of look it over. And then she passes out. And you watch the king just kind of grabs her and slowly kind of leads her down to the ground so that she doesn't hurt herself. That doesn't seem good. Do you have water or something?
I'll run to the side and
Roland's gonna.
give her water.
Okay.
I'll set her over.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me a medicine check real quick, Lillian.
Yep.
Let's see. Ooh,
11. I didn't roll great.
I rolled a 7.
So, as you guys kind of look over, she's breathing. She doesn't look dead or anything like that. But beyond that, this is happening so fast, it's kind of hard to figure out. And you guys have no idea if she was ever fed here, if she even required food being in that place. Again, after dealing with, after the conversation that Argenta had with one of the prisoners, it seems almost like a form of stasis. So you guys, as far as you can tell, she doesn't look malnourished or dehydrated or anything, but can't really tell a whole lot. Lillian, taking out your water skin, you splash a little bit of water on her and she kind of reacts to it. But it doesn't wake her or anything. Like she still is unconscious, but she does react to the water being splashed on her face.
The sigils are so powerful; they sear and they burn away. When I wrote it into a book of the Dark Lady, I can only imagine between the transition you two are clearly dealing with and this, it may simply be too much for her to handle it immediately.
Well, all the more reason to get out of here. Any building that has something that dark written on it certainly is not a good place to be.
No.
Where is this prison underground? What are we looking at layout?
Above ground, as we can tell.
Oh, okay. Well,
It's
In the middle of a painted lake.
lovely.
it's a tower with slick metallic walls on the outside.
Well, I see
Is
some.
there some kind of magic that way of the mind when we come out, when we go up and down the stairs.
Yes, don't get split up if you're in this
Yeah.
place.
You are not giving me a lot of hope.
This place is
So-
called the
Well,
Mice.
the reason they come into my tower.
I was about to say this is called the Mice Tower for a reason.
Yeah.
As you guys are talking, you suddenly hear the sound of metal on stone.
There's our warden.
Yeah.
Well, I'm assuming there is no chance to negotiate with him. Have you attempted to negotiate some sort of settlement? I have the
Yes,
wealth
we-
of a country.
He is singular in his task.
He
All
only
right.
wants us to go into
Well-
our cells.
I mean, we both had to have a few times, but I mean,
Well, there are
one flat mind would be an understatement.
well, then there are other forms of negotiation. And he goes to where he had put his sword down before entering into his wife's cell. And you watch as he picks it up, and you can see when he first kind of puts his hand around it, like his arms look a little bit kind of emaciated. And as he picks the sword up, you guys see him kind of stretch, and you notice these massive triceps as he pulls this really large, overly large greatsword with a effectively gun barrel in the middle of it up, and he kind of rests it on his shoulder, and he puts his other hand on it. You can see the rest of his muscles in his back and that start kind of waking up. Perhaps he will react to this. And he kind of readies himself in a fighting stance.
So we're gonna do this.
I mean,
If you have a better idea, I'm more than open to
yeah,
it.
I am kind of inclined to agree with you. Trying about everything else.
I'm inclined to have us all up and ready for this. Jody, do I think that I know I cast a medicine check, but I also want to ask: do I think a greater restoration will help the queen?
Good question. Make me a religion check. Or Arcana, whichever you like better.
Not Arcana. Religion. Yeah, 18.
18. You actually don't think it's a greater restoration for the thing. You actually think just kind of basic healing might be this. You think it's possible she effectively took psychic damage from it.
Does it heal?
Yeah, just something that restores hit points.
Liliane, I don't know if you have any more of your abilities as a paladin. I think she might. Is this
Yeah,
a heal?
I can.
yeah,
I'm thinking we might have to keep our spell reserve
yeah.
ready.
I will go over to the queen and use 2 of my healing lights
Okay.
to give her back 2d6. Or wait, yeah.
God, I'm also an idiot. I have potions of healing. I have 2 basic ones that'll do it too.
Basically, it looks like she just needs something to regain some hit points.
I mean, if you want to say the resources, I can.
I mean, I can do it right here.
9 points of fuzzy dice healing.
Fuzzy dive. Cool. So as you go over and kind of direct these lights to enter her body, you watch as she kind of opens her eyes, and you see this look of panic on her eyes until she looks and sees her husband there, and you see a little bit of calm go over as she sits up, and then you can see her kind of remember and go, "Oh, we need to leave here now. This is very bad."
What?
Unfortunately, our abilities to leave are somewhat limited.
Well, then we need to find new abilities. That is a script of the Abyss.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh. Yeah, we need to get out of here.
As she says that, you guys see from the only staircase leading out, you see the figure in dark black and blue armor come up. The helmet completely enclosing their face. Their eyes glowing with this kind of bright blue glow. Comes up, you can see shield on his back, sword on his hip. Both seem to be made out of some black iron that none of you have ever encountered before. He comes up and he points at the group. You have made a grave error. Return them to their cells before I return them.
Sorry, you mentioned grave. You're gonna have to be a little bit more specific.
Apparently, there makes many of them.
Do I
mean,
look
that's-
jovial? You see him reach over to his hip, and you can hear the sword scratching like nails on a chalkboard as it is pulled from its sheath. I have given you leeway to learn your place, but you have failed to learn. So now I will teach you with pain and suffering. You see him extend his hand, and his shield slides down his arm to be gripped.
I will hold my sword, activate my radiant light, and say, I always want to throw.
So you guys watch as Lillian pulls her sword. You can see the slight bit of blood as she slices her hand, and shing, the blood starts to travel around along the blade, and every part that the blood touches starts to brightly radiate light. You bring the sword around, holding it two-handed, one-handed?
Cool.
Okay. Bring it around, pointing at him. The warden looks at you. Your pathetic attempts will do nothing. This is my domain. I am in complete control. You cannot harm me. And he just starts walking towards you.
Vala will pull out her wand of magic detection,
Mm-hmm.
just point it at him, and then start thinking back to the first time she got to perform at the Ebony Sun, and that feeling of the crowd, that electric, just happy thoughts.
Okay. As you point the wand of magic detection, everything around you erupts in
The
magical
wand.
stuff.
I'm
Like-
just using the wand as a prop.
Oh, so you're not actually activating
So-
it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were actually gonna. If you attempted to detect magic, there's lots of it everywhere.
Yeah. No. This is just this is just a prop.
You don't even need the wand to detect the magic. It's everywhere.
Result reticle. You fucked.
Virus equals very yes. You and now the compy has beat the carpet.
So I'm just focusing on happy memory.
And again, he seems to not care. He's still walking towards you guys. Sword is raised. He hasn't brought it into like a striking position because he's still probably about 40, 50 feet away. But he's not running at you or anything. He's just very deliberately walking towards you, weapons drawn. Anyone else want to try into doing something? Liliane has done something. Vala has done something. Rowan, Argenta.
I am waiting for him to get a little closer, so Rowan can go first.
Not a problem.
Relwyn is contemplating things. He's not sure. Like he's wondering if between this place and the lens, I'm not sure what we should go after first. But I do know that I do not want us to be near him. I'm like he might even like he's not going to put his hands on the queen, but he might like we might want to move back, and he's going to cast bless on himself and our 3 party members.
Okay. So you guys watch as Relwyn
Hashtag blessed.
makes the sign of the Dark Lady, and you guys suddenly feel your armor feels just slightly lighter on you. Your weapon, your grips on your weapons feel that much more secure. As he gets within about 20 feet, good enough for you, Argenta? Closer?
Yeah, that's fine.
Right.
As he gets within 20 feet, she's first just going to snap her fingers and cast haste.
Okay.
And then she points at him.
Mm-hmm.
She says, "This is your domain." And she's going to shadow transition with him.
Okay. I need... a charisma saving throw.
All right.
I'm glad I just blessed you.
Is this versus charm?
No, but do you have anything involving fear?
No.
Okay. So this is going to be a fear effect.
It's a saving throw, so this is D4.
Yeah, I know. This wouldn't bounce out of my tray. There we go. Come on. That's a 4, so I rolled nearly max 27.
Wow. As you use his ability that you are still learning how it works. It's a very new ability for you. So you were expecting it to work the exact same way it worked the last 2 times that you've used it, which is basically you choose someone, you feel yourself kind of being pulled out of reality to appear in this kind of shadow box. This time, however, as you point at him, instead of feeling like you're being pulled out of reality, you feel like you're being pulled into him. As your vision kind of blurs for a second, you watch him get bigger and bigger and bigger as if he's running at you. And right at the point where you would kind of smack into him, everything goes dark. You look around at what you were expecting to see, which is basically a big old black box. And around you is this swirling kind of deep purple mist. And as it swirls around, you see faces and skulls and claws that form in the mist and then go away. As you kind of dust yourself off, it looks roughly to be the same size that you're expecting. But for whatever reason, your feet are kind of caked in this mist. It coats the first probably about 8 to 12 inches of the floor. And as you kind of lift your feet out of it, it has weight to it. Not enough that with knowledge that it's there, it's going to impede your movement at all, but enough that it's noticeable. And since you're on one side, you can see the wall behind you reaching out and trying to grab you with this strange, almost reptilian-looking claws. You could see on the other side is the Warden, and his shield is changed from just kind of this solid black, almost wrought iron looking thing to a large tower shield looking thing with a huge skull with burning eyes on it, flames coming out of the mouth. The sword itself is enveloped in this deep purple flame. You can see his eyes are now giving off these trails of purple smoke as they're burning out of his helmet. And you see him standing there. You have made a terrible mistake.
What did he say?
You've made a terrible mistake. You've got
Okay.
a minute while this is still going to exist.
I just think to the final task that I have to do for that other dark entity.
Mm-hmm.
And I lift up a finger and I say, what do you want me to do here?
And for the first time since dealing with this entity, despite the fact that you can't see his face, he looks confused. What do you mean?
Do you want any of this?
He still looks incredibly confused. I want you to go to your cells and stop interfering.
So the one I made the contract with didn't respond.
Oh! I
Yeah.
didn't even think about it. I thought you were addressing... Oh, shit. I'm going to have you make a religion check with disadvantage.
Yeah, I thought you knew that you were acting accordingly, because that would
I
make sense
thought
that he
because I
was
use
doing
a
that.
similar vocal structure, I thought he thought that maybe the warden was somehow connected. And that's what the warden thought. The warden thought you were talking to him.
Argenta's on a Bluetooth, just doesn't notice it.
And he's like, no, no.
15 on the religion check.
15. Okay. The world around you gets darker. The walls start closing in. The wall envelops the warden. And soon you are in a 10-foot wide circle of light. Outside the circle of light is darkness so deep and dark that it has mass. It undulates and writhes around this tiny island of light. From outside, you hear I did not expect for you to call for me. Fascinating. You called.
Yes, this warden seems to think in this place he is superior to everything.
He is not wrong. The area you are was a gift from me. I created a world where he controls everything.
Fascinating. What did he give?
He gave me suffering. Immense, delicious suffering. Every moment he exists, playing a part he never wanted, for all of eternity.
Can you repeat that? Because
Sorry.
it's not my
Yeah, your gating was not your friend.
Sorry. I'll get a little closer. Basically, without the poorly used subharmonics, he said he paid him in he paid this being in suffering, delicious suffering. Every moment that he exists is agony. He effectively he fights himself being the one thing that he despises, and every waking moment that he exists is exquisite suffering, like a fine wine.
Let's see. So he gave himself to also be in utter control.
He was given as a gift.
By the Dark Lord?
Of course. Who else would revel in someone else's suffering? Get my mic a little closer. And if I'm not getting picked up on the mic, just let me know.
Yeah.
I'm working on my subharmonic range. It's very hard. Also,
You know
Jeff
what-
Castellucci, screw you. You make it look really easy.
You know it would cause even more suffering to him.
I'm listening.
For it to be all for nothing, to be what he hates, but gain nothing for it.
You realize the reason you are in this position already is because you made a deal with me before. A deal you have not yet paid in full. Are you sure you want to make another?
I'm still waiting for your last task.
It will be exquisite. But if you wish for my aid here, more payment will I need.
She looks at the Warden. What would you ask?
I want his death to be very
You're not being
painful.
picked up.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I want his death to be very painful. I want everyone to see it, to watch every excruciating moment as he breathes his last breath.
I can do that.
Understand my meaning. Your entire party must watch as every last breath escapes his lungs, and every moment of his death must be immense agony and pain.
I can do that.
Fine. When he said you could not hurt him, he was correct. He is invulnerable inside his tower. However, the center column is not his. It belongs to the Dark Lord and is the only place he is vulnerable. The gates are designed to keep all but him out. Bring him near, they will open. Bring him in, he will be mortal.
Thank you.
As you say that, not only does the circle of light disappear, your shadow space disappears as well. You guys both watch, or all of you watch, as Argenta and the Warden vanish out of existence for a moment, and then are back. What do you want to do, Argenta?
He just says, he's immortal everywhere but there, and points to the center space. And no matter what happens, none of you can look away from him.
Okay. I guess we're walking.
As you
and
say
Vala
that,
will
the
start
king-
shepherd everybody.
The king takes his greatsword and runs past the warden. And you all kind of look strange as the warden, as he goes past, the warden just takes a slice and hits hard.
I would like to use my reaction to use cutting words.
Okay, go ahead and roll. You're going to have to roll really high. We're looking at a 30... Math is hard. 33?
Oh, I don't. Oh, okay. Well,
And the king is not wearing armor.
okay. Cutting words. Da 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 da. That's gonna be a inspiration. So a D10. This is a poor thing. I take 7 points off.
Awesome.
I rolled a 7.
So as he swings now, cutting words, does that affects the attack roll, right? Or is that the damage roll?
I think it can be either.
I thought it took out the attack roll.
I thought
It's
it
an
did too.
attack roll, ability check, or damage roll.
Oh, okay. So I guess the question is going to be: do you want it off the attack roll or the damage roll?
I wanted it to be attack roll.
Okay.
That was my plan.
All right. So as you sit there and you try to infuse your words with a little bit of magic, you see the blade twist a little bit as the magic tries to hold his hand, and you watch as they get broken, and you see the sword cut deep into the king, and you can see on his clothing instantly get stained red all along his side as whatever he hit just opened a fountain of blood. The king doesn't seem to be bothered by this. As he goes past, you watch him plant his foot and start pivoting and brings this massive sword around that as it connects, you hear an explosion. And you watch as... That's a nat 20. You watch as the sword impacts him, and you guys feel a blast wave come off of it that forces all of you to kind of plant your feet to avoid being knocked out. And you see this huge kind of cloud of smoke. And as the smoke clears, you can see the king holding the sword against the back plate of this armor, and the warden standing there looking almost completely unaffected. That was a mistake. And the king kind of collapses to one knee for a second. I'm starting to realize that. Little help, anyone?
Literally just said he's more or less on the other side of the lens. And
Well, from what you guys can tell, like, it looks like he was attempting to knock him into the center, and it just didn't work.
Oh,
But
I
the
will.
theory behind it seems sound.
Um,
I will fight the one that came side.
Okay.
And if I cannot use my right hand to get him, please, please.
So as you come over, you don't think you'll have any problem laying on hands, but the time it will take for you to lay on hands, you can see the warden already kind of bringing his sword up. So the decision that you have is, if you lay on hands, he's going to take a swing at you. So you can attempt to avoid the swing, or you can attempt the lay on hands. That's the choice that you have right now. Just realized I never put the sound back on. It's like, why is it so quiet?
I'll take the swing.
You'll take the swing? Okay.
Yeah.
28.
Yeah.
Okay. So long sword. 3, 10. Math is hard.
Okay.
17 points of necrotic damage. As it comes down and it cuts into your shoulder, you can feel this kind of radiation of necrotic energy as it goes through your arm. You feel your fingers starting to go numb slightly as whatever energy kind of soaks its way through your body. But you are able to get the lay on hands, and you can see some of the wound itself closes ever so slightly. You think the king took a really solid hit, so it's probably going to need more than 3 hit points. But anyone else want to do something?
yes, I would like to turn to the queen,
Mm-hmm.
tell her it's gonna be a little bit weird, but I want you to bite him and drag him into the center. And then I'm gonna cast polymorph on her and turn her into a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
goddamn T-Rex.
Well, so the issue is the place that you're in has 10 foot, or the tower itself has had 10 to 12 foot ceilings, which is too small for a T-Rex. But this is the top floor that has vaulted ceilings, so
I've got this big head, these little arms.
I'm going to have you make... You don't have the stat block of a T-Rex next to you, do you?
I do.
Okay. I'm going to have you make 3 athletics checks from the T-Rex. Because it's going to take a total of 3 checks for her to get him there. And we will kind of narrate it depending on how you do.
Okay. Obviously the T-Rex is not skilled in any of this.
So they would just be strength checks then.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
if
it's gonna be-
if you're not trained in the skill, it's just a flat out strength check.
Okay. D20 plus 7. The first one is going to be a 22.
Okay. So start with that. So the queen looks at you, perplexed. I'm not sure. And then she sees you start weaving magic into your words. And she recognizes the spell. And she looks at you, and you can see this tiny grin starting to form as her teeth start getting longer. Her face starts to shoot out and elongate into the long snout of a Tyrannosaurus Rex. You watch as her arms shrink into her body, and as her thighs start to grow massive. You see talons start forming at the end of her legs, and a tail start to sprout at the end. Her chest cavity expands into the monstrous form of a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
I have to imagine, given this theme, that it's like nightmare fuel transformation, like Animorphs.
Yeah. And despite the fact that the Tyrannosaurus the face of a Tyrannosaurus does not contain the muscles to grin, you could almost swear there was a slight grin and a wink from this massive prehistoric monster as it runs forward towards the Warden, who seems to be focused very much on Lillian, and he's bringing his sword up to strike another blow, and suddenly the mouth of the T-Rex chomps down on the arm, and you watch him turn, and she lifts him up, and he kind of ragdolls a bit as she pulls him up and tries to do that. And suddenly you watch as the brief moment of ragdolling happens, and then you watch a fist form on his shield arm, and you watch him drive the shield into her snout with such force that blood spurts from it. You watch her kind of fall to the ground, and he is now significantly closer. But she was forced to release her grip. You can see the blood of the T-Rex just dripping off of his shield as he reaches towards his sword that he dropped, and it goes directly to his hand. He places the sword on top of the shield, ready for round 2. Make me a second athletics check.
It is a 14.
14, gotcha. She rushes at him again, and again, he already has his sword arm up, placed on his shield. As she gets closer and closer, you watch her mouth open. You can see a few of the teeth in the mouth were cracked from biting onto the armor. So this is so hard. As she goes to close her sword, you watch him lift his shield and brace it against the top of the mouth and slam the sword into the bottom, using the shield to brace it open. And you watch as from the bottom of the mouth the sword pokes through. You hear this guttural scream from the Tyranno Queen, and she seems to be kind of in a stalemate at this point. He's not really moving, and she's not reeling, but he's not moving away from it. Make me another athletics check.
Can I inspire her on this?
Sure, if you'd like to. You don't have to tell me how you're inspiring a T-Rex, so.
Na, 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 na.
Love me some John Williams. You sit there and just start going, ba-da-da-da-da, and everyone looks over and you're not playing, and you just kind of point over and go, ladies and gentlemen, the London Symphony Orchestra with director John Williams. You just start clapping. Yeah,
Oh,
I'll say
God.
that's inspiring. Take your DM inspiration for making me laugh.
And use it.
I don't know that I could use that now.
Because you didn't get it until after the roll was started, I'm going to say you can't turn it into an advantage. But there's another roll that you want turned into advantage, you can.
All right. Well, I rolled a 2 and a 2 with
It's
my bardic
impressive.
inspiration, so 11.
11, cool. So, again, the warden has her effectively pinned, and you watch as they're kind of fighting amongst each other. You watch as the warden twists his shield and pushes his sword like this, and you watch as the Tyrannosaurus is twisted by its mouth, flipped in the air and brought down to the ground in almost like a hip throw kind of thing. Pulls his sword out, unhooks his shield from the mouth, goes over and plunges the sword into the throat and rips out the entirety of the throat of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. You can see kind of this huge pool of blood spilling all over the ground, and you watch as the T-Rex gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and then it's the queen there, who looks really rough, because T-Rexes have a crap ton of hit points.
136.
Yeah, so she didn't take any of the damage from it, but she just felt her trachea get severed and pulled out of her body. So she seems less than thrilled.
It's not my plan.
While that all occurred,
Mm-hmm.
could during their like second little bout, Argenta have used Nature's Veil, which makes her go invisible as a bonus action?
I'll allow it.
Get behind him,
Okay.
and then as soon as like the queen is there holding her throat, Argenta with Nature's Veil ends. She returns, rages, and tries to just bull rush him into the center.
Okay, I'm going to need contested athletics check. As you come into contact with him, the armor has been completely obscuring his body at all. Like, you guys can't tell what is underneath this. As you grab him and start pushing, you recognize someone that's extremely well built. There's a lot of muscle underneath this. So let's start it off. What do you got for your athletics check?
Thank God for advantage from rage, because that is a 30.
30, cool. He got a nat 20.
Ooh.
So as you kind of come behind him, and how do you visualize yourself kind of grabbing? Like, you going for like a full Nelson kind of thing? Are you gonna like grab him around the waist and like just football tackle him in? Like, what? How do you envision this?
It's like a football tackle.
Football tackle? Okay. So as you grab his waist and just start pushing him forward, expecting him to kind of just go with it, you lift slightly to prevent him from face planting and then stopping the momentum too quickly. And as you do, you suddenly feel his legs tense, and he widens his stance and plants himself. And as you try as hard as you can, you don't make any leeway. And you feel a gauntleted hand grab you behind your head, grab a big tuft of hair, and start lifting you slightly, which is, for you, more of an annoyance than anything else. The angle that he's at, he doesn't have the strength to do anything other than pull your hair. And then you feel him trying to start turning around so that he can face you. But you've got a really good hold on him, so it's probably going to take at least another turn before he can get around and do anything to you. But you have not made any more movement. Let's say, to give numbers, let's say you are currently 45 feet from the center. just to use a
right.
simple number. So you have 45 feet to move him. All of you saw this happening. Vala, you have already done your actions for this part of the encounter. Liliane, Relwyn, is there anything that you guys want to do? Actually, what you guys saw was a T-Rex come over, do some weird stuff, and then get gutted. And then Argenta just magically appeared out of nowhere and seems to be hugging him.
They're half used to me appearing and disappearing at this
I
point.
mean, yeah, but
Yeah.
there's nowhere for you to hide. It's not like you ducked behind something and then jumped in. No, you just magically... So, anything you guys want to do?
If there's anything I can do, I know it's not going to do any damage. If I can do anything to help distract him, to help give my cohorts an edge,
Sure.
I was thinking like if I now I'm sure regardless he's immune and from what I'm understanding. But if I do Toll the Dead, which is a Wisdom 19 saving throw,
Mm-hmm.
in my case because of what I can do, because I've done this before, I also do a 1d8 of radiant damage.
Okay.
On a cantrip. So I'm hoping like maybe I can like a flash bright enough. I know it won't mechanically do anything, but like give a distraction in order to help them get the assist action.
I would say Toll the Dead would not make a visual distraction. But if you want to use it as an audible distraction or an oral distraction, because it is literally tolling a bell loud enough to hurt with necrotic energy, I'm still going to have... Just to make this slightly more interesting, I'm going to have you make a spellcasting attack roll effectively. Because unless I roll really low, which happens all the time, I get that, but he's probably going to make, well, I guess a 19. Let's see. Before you roll, let's see what he actually gets.
Wisdom 19.
Well, that's a 3, and his saving throw is not plus, what would that need to be, 16 to make that roll? So, in the best case scenario you can think of, what would you want to happen?
Still, is like he's obviously like, I think like he would be like a disregard. He'd be like, "Are you on top of being invulnerable? You're trying necrotic on me." And then there's that extra thing I have where it's a D8 of radiant damage. Like what the? So I'm hoping to give an assist on when someone is trying to push him back. So it's like I'm trying to distract him, give an advantage.
So
assistance.
you want to kind of draw the focus towards you so that he doesn't expect whatever else is going to come his way. Am I kind of getting...
Keep him off his footing.
Cool. Okay. Sure. So, you guys watch as he's slowly starting to turn around, and he's starting to look down at Argenta. And Argenta, you guys can see muscles like stretching, veins everywhere. And Argenta's doing everything she can, and he's not moving. And Argenta, you're starting to feel that kind of frustration of, why the hell isn't this working? It should be working. You can feel like his eyes just burning into the back of your skull as he's just kind of looking down at you now as he completes his turn. And suddenly you hear this resounding gong. And you feel the resistance from the warden just kind of stop. And he turns towards Relwyn and just gives him this look of incredulity. There's a word in there.
Incredulity?
There we go.
Yeah.
Incredulity or something similar to that. Anyway, so he's looking at him, and again, you guys can't actually see his face. It is almost completely, except for like eye holes for his eyes. You can't really see anything from it, but you can
The eyebrow quirk is implied.
you can feel the what the hell coming from him in that split second. Argenta, you already have advantage on strength checks, so let's say you can add a D8 to your. Well, what's the damage die? Is a D10 if they're at full health, right? Or is the D8 at full health, and it's a D12?
Well, it's a What's a D8 if they're at full health, a D12
Yeah.
if they've been taken down.
So yeah,
and my radiant does an additional D8.
Yeah, well, I'm picking
Yeah.
what die I want to give him.
Yeah.
So let's go
Sure.
D8. D8
Well, you know.
works. So we'll say he'll give you a D8. Before you roll that, however, Liliane, is there something you would like to do? As Relwyn has effectively thrown a lemon at the monster in the hopes of doing something. Also, is there a chance that you could get taller for a second? Because we can only see the top of your head.
Yeah, I tried to tell you.
I hit my queen.
Wasn't sure if you're just getting really comfortable.
Yeah. How far am I from him?
Because we're not really measuring distances right now, other than how far away he is from the thing. Just so you guys have a goal. How far do you want to be?
30 feet.
Surprisingly enough, it's exactly where you are.
I will cast Bane on him.
Okay.
So he has to make a DC 14. Yeah, DC 14 commitment save.
Alright, well, I rolled a 13. And he's technically, stat block wise, a paladin. So he makes the save.
Okay.
Good try.
So,
Now, Argenta, you can feel him distracted. Vala?
If we're going back in turn order, there is something I would like to do before Argenta tries.
Technically, you had 3 actions in there from the T-Rex doing 3 things, so you get to sit one more round out.
What I want to do is a bonus action, though.
All right, what do you want
Does
to do?
that change things? I want to cast Hex on it.
Hex is a bonus action.
Hex is a bonus action.
Oh, das wäre interesting to do. Okay.
So he's cursed, and if you allow me to do this, he will be cursed, and I would like one of his abilities. I'm thinking strength,
So
that he would have disadvantage on ability checks made with strength.
Dong turns towards Relwyn. The fuck? Bane spell gets cast. You watch his shield arm just kind of flick the spell away, and then you watch as how do you visualize your particular hex spell going into effect? Is there a color that you associate with it?
I mean, it would have to be some type of a radiant light.
Okay. So you watch as he kind of bats it away, and you guys watch as it almost looks like a white laser pointer just appears on his hand. He looks at it, and you can watch this little crack start to form in his armor. And it's not actually the armor shattering, but the light is tracing along the pathways in his armor, and it goes there, and you can watch it kind of go all over his armor. You can see this almost like a bad highlighting job is now kind of wrapped around him. Argenta, if you would like to make your check. Well, the second roll was a 13, which with his very high athletic score would have been very high. But the first roll was a 6. So what do we got, Argenta?
37.
Jesus. You just juicing? Are you just...
What?
So I rolled a 19 on the
Oh,
die.
I'm sitting here. I was like, that's not like I'm sitting here in math, and I'm like, that's not possible. Oh wait, there's an extra D8. That's how it's
Yeah,
possible. I'm like, I can't.
I
You can't have a
I
number
I
that high.
I rolled a 19 on the die. I'm expertised in athletics, and then I rolled a 5 on the
You son of a bitch.
d8.
Just a big jar says anabolics on it. Oh,
So you have gone past steroids.
it's gamma radiation.
All right, he doesn't get a 37. With the combined effort of all of you, Argenta, you feel his focus falter for just a second, and that's all you need. You tighten your grip, lift slightly, and start running forward. You lift him just enough that his feet can't touch the ground enough to get any traction. You are going forward. You guys watch these going directly towards the bars that lead into this. This is a center area. You see the bars are not changing. You guys have looked at these bars before. They don't move. They're very, very strong. You're almost anticipating the impact. And right as you get there, you go through the bars. They become insubstantial for a moment as you go all the way through. And as soon as you're in the center, something changes. The immense amount of strength that you could feel fighting you starts to fade. You stop in the middle of the circle, and you do feel uh, 27 versus your armor class.
Yeah, that hits.
You feel the sword pierce your back as he thrusts it into to you. You take 5, 10, 14, 19 points of necrotic damage as it plunges into your back, and it hurts. You feel the pain go throughout your arms, through your lower back, into your thighs, and into your calves, and into your toes. Your entire body is aching with this necrotic energy, but as he pulls the sword out, you readjust yourself. You realize the strength he had before, he's still a very strong person. He is not the immense power that you just dealt with. And for the first time, despite the fact that all you see is these kind of fiery orbs, you see fear in his eyes. Now you still have a grip on him, but you can see him turning the sword to try and see if he can effectively pry himself out of your grip. Because you are the closest person to this situation. I'm going to ask Argenta, what do you want to do first?
So I was told he was mortal in here, right?
Yes.
And he's wearing like steel armor.
You're not sure what kind of armor it is, but it's definitely full plate.
Okay.
It's a type of metal. It's definitely not steel, but it's some kind of metal.
Is there something I can do to help Argenta, or are we going to be like a turn-based thing, or are we going to just?
I'm going to let Argenta react first, and
Okay.
then the rest of you guys can do something. But
So, kind of, holding him in the grip, Jody.
mm-hmm.
She's going to, like, with one arm still around him, gripping into, the joints of the plate.
Mm-hmm.
Other arm lets go,
Mm-hmm.
reaches into her, into where she keeps Fury.
Mm-hmm.
First attack is to reload it. All 4 shots are. Let's Shocker's the paralyzation one, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All 4 shots are Shocker.
Okay.
And I have Gunner, so point blank shots are not at disadvantage.
Okay.
I'm gonna fire one at him.
So you guys watch as Argenta goes in, and you see this kind of strange thing. You can see the mannerisms of the Warden change. You watch as the Warden plunges a sword into Argenta's back, and as he pulls it out, you watch as one of Argenta's arms kind of falls down, and you guys think the worst at first. Maybe he's severed a muscle, severed a tendon. She no longer has the use of her arm. But you watch as just as quickly as it falls, it goes up and she reaches into her own coat and brings out a familiar shape that she plunges into the gut of this creature. And you hear this first deadened but still painfully loud. Make your attack roll with advantage since you have placed the gun on him.
With advantage. Am I still blessed?
Yeah.
It's for
Hasn't
saving
dropped.
throws, though. Oh, saving throws and attacks. Yes. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
bless still works on attacks. Bless, very nice spell. People in Baldur's Gate that I've been watching have been learning the benefits of bless.
That is going to be a what's our proficiency bonus?
There are single-digit numbers on the D20.
Gosh, you.
26.
26. Okay. You don't remember what the save is, do you? It should be on the sheet.
It's still on commander's sheet.
Oh, is it? So you don't have access to it?
I can maybe see if I can get into commander's sheet.
Don't worry about it. I can. And I can also just give you that after we're done with this so that you have access to it. Inventory. All right. Shocker. Strength save. Fail. Target's paralyzed. What's your DC?
What does it say on it?
DC is 8 plus proficiency plus dex.
So it'd be 15.
15. Cool. That's a 2. You feel the muscles tighten and become rigid as the shocker shock hits him, and you watch as lightning kind of dances over the armor. And you have to kind of let go so that you are not also hit with the lightning. You can see him completely frozen as all of his muscles contract. The rest of you watch this as Argenta drops her other arm, steps back, still holding a smoking fury, one of the barrels spent. As the click, next barrel gets put into place. The rest of you want to do something?
If Rowan can, he's gonna dip into something he has not dipped into before, and I, the player, have wanted to for a long time. Rowan is going to harness his divinity, his divine power. His eyes are going to go that smoky indigo, because start leaking like inky water, but going up. 2 voices simultaneously is going, "Let's speed along your path to the grave." As he does path to the grave,
Okay.
the next attack that someone hits the Warden with, it will be a vulnerable attack. He will have vulnerability.
So you guys watch as this kind of reverse gravity inking tears start kind of flowing out of Relwyn and just kind of collecting, and you watch as this inky pool starts to form above this creature, and it just starts kind of dripping on him every so often. You watch as it starts dripping on his helmet, dripping on his armor, and it starts to just wrap everything in this deep indigo ink. Anyone else want to do something?
Do Do I recognize him mortal form at all?
Since he's still in his armor, you really can't tell
Alright.
much. He looks humanoid, as far as you can tell, but the armor is so kind of thick and protective and covers so much of him that you couldn't even tell which flavor of humanoid he is. Could be a tiefling, could be a genasi, could be, 4 raccoons in a suit. You're not entirely sure. If one of you guys wants to start trying to pick off pieces of armor, probably the easiest piece would be the helmet. But you'll have to do it ranged because the bars are technically still there.
I will attempt to do the helmet.
Okay. Just make me an attack roll. We'll
Now,
say
does the vulnerability apply to this, or will it be an actual attack on him?
if the goal of this attack is not to do damage, I'm not going... Like, if you want to sacrifice your ability to actually do damage so that you don't have to roll disadvantage on this, I'm good with that. So it's up to you, Liliang.
Yeah, I will. I'm not trying to damage him.
Okay.
I'm just trying to take the helmet off.
Sure. So yeah, just make me a standard ranged attack roll with... what are you hitting him with? Are you using crossbow or...
I'll use my crossbow.
Okay. So you guys watch Lillian drops her sword for a moment, brings crossbow up to her shoulder, takes a brief moment to breathe.
"23."
23. Boom! Hits it slightly off center, causes the head to get launched back. You guys hear this ting, 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 as the helmet hits the ground. As the head comes back up, you see a familiar face.
God
Most of
damn
you have only seen this face once, but Vala, you recognize the face of, and now my brain is completely blanked, Leopold. His long white hair, which was somehow kept under the helmet, is now spilled over his shoulders. You can see this expression of pure anger and vengeance in his eyes. Anything you want to do? You're the only one that hasn't acted this round, Vala.
I don't believe I can,
Okay.
because you very graciously let me hex him with my with bonus action and the 3 actions, and
All right.
God.
Argenta, standing before you in deep, dark armor, is Leopold. You can feel the hatred flowing off of him. You know that as soon as this paralysis is done, he would like nothing more than to end your life in the most horrible way possible. There is a pure hatred in this being that you have not felt in a very, very long time. So much hatred that a normal mortal would not be able to contain it. In the back of your mind, you can hear the deal you just made. What do you want to do?
She just looks at him with like pity in her eyes.
Also, take a point of inspiration from DJ Artie.
Perfect. Mark that. Let's see. What do I have? So she's going to haste herself
Okay.
as her main action,
All right.
and then using the hasted action, she's going to walk behind him,
Okay.
aim down at the back of one of his knees, and then fire.
Okay. Advantage on the attack.
Yep.
Normally, it's melee that gets auto crit from paralysis. I'm gonna say, since again you're right there, and I think it sounds cooler. If you hit, this will be an auto crit, and he is vulnerable to this attack.
One. I nat 20'd anyway.
All right.
Oh Jesus! I've always wanted to see this, and now I regret wanting to see this.
It's AC's 21, by the way. So go ahead and roll me damage, and so roll double the number of dice you normally would, and then double that number.
Because vulnerable also does the modifier as well.
Mm-hmm.
So 28 points of damage.
So as you bring Fury down, you watch as the front of his knee explodes out. He drops down. You hear this unbelievable cry of agony. He's going to try and save out of this paralysis again at the end of his turn, unless you have a bonus action you want to use.
Nope.
We got a 12 that time. And it's a strength save, right?
Yep.
So he does make his save this time. So you watch as the kind of lightning going, oh no, that was the save for, because you loaded all of them shocker, right?
Yep.
So that was technically the save for the bullet he just took. This is the save for the effect that is already there,
Text and Bane.
which is higher.
Jeez.
So the electricity goes off. You watch him drop down to one knee. You can see this pool of really, really dark, almost black blood starting to form on the ground because there's just so much happening. He picks up the sword that he dropped, and he's going to try and take a swing at you with disadvantage. That's a nat 1. Swings the sword at you without thinking. You just kind of move Fury a little bit. The impact hits Fury, and you just flick it back. You watch as the sword gets launched outside of the room that you're in. New round. Anyone want to act first?
How rough is Argenta looking right now?
I don't know, Argenta.
She's fresh.
I think she's only taken one attack.
Yeah.
And you have that 5 hit point thing too.
Thank you for reminding me. I'm gonna take that away and add 5 hit points back.
We'll also roll 2d4 plus 2 as you get a potion of healing from DJ Artie.
Argenta does?
Yes.
Huh? 2. Okay, that's 6.
So, yeah, Argenta's looking pretty good. Even the wound on her back doesn't look horrible.
Okay. In that case, I will
By the way, real quick, while you're thinking, where did you get expertise? Did you take a feat, or do you have
Uh,
levels of rogue I didn't realize?
During character creation, I took what's that one feat? It's called Prodigy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you've always had this expertise and I just never realized it?
Yeah.
Now I feel dumb. Cool. Rowan, you were doing something to make me not feel dumb, right?
We could see them, correct? It's just like
Yeah, there's
bars.
just bars in the way is all.
Okay.
The bars are a little bit too close for anyone to fit through, but they're more than big enough to let any sort of projectile through.
Then I am definitely going to. Uh,
Oh, and Rowan, you don't know who this is. I just
no.
realized you've never met him.
I know that Vala has tried to get a hold of Leopold. I don't know who
Yep.
this fool is. I just know this is the jailer.
Yeah.
The warden.
You would see the face of a dark elf, and you can see fangs. So it's a dark elf vampire.
Okay. I would contextually, I'm going to cast at 5th level. I'm going to cast. Sure, get this. Yes, 5th level. Spiritual weapon into there.
Okay. What do you want your spiritual weapon to look like?
I think it just like this because the symbol of the Dark Lady is a sickle, right? Because we make the motion.
It's technically it's a
I know that's the hand motion for the.
it's a crescent moon technically. But
Okay.
crescent moon is very close to a sickle, anyways.
Okay.
I had one of my players in an earlier campaign actually created the symbol, and it's kind of a combination of a moon and something else, if I remember correctly. He drew it for me once. I have it somewhere.
Okay. There'll just be a giant sickle.
Okay.
Will just appear in there, and just goes for.
Yep. He is effectively prone right now, so go ahead and make an attack roll with advantage.
Okay. It's plus 11. Okay, so that's 16. First roll. 17.
17. Okay.
Garbage.
Not quite enough. You watch as the sickle kind of comes down and it connects with one of the pauldrons and is deflected off. Vala, Liliane, Argenta?
Oh, God, I'm sorry. I don't know if it matters, but I'm blessed too.
Oh, yeah. If you roll a 4...
Plus 3.
Not enough. If you had a 4...
I already had advantage, so I couldn't use an inspiration, can I?
No. Because you can't get double advantage, so...
I didn't know if it applied to, like, rerolling or anything, so...
No, I don't do that currently. It's just
Okay.
advantage for me right now. So... Liliane, Argenta, Vala. Anyone want to do anything else?
Point of order.
Okay. The chair recognizes Vala.
Argenta's exact words
Mhm.
were that when he is brought into the center, he becomes mortal.
Yes.
Do I notice any appearance difference?
Not...
He just looks
I mean,
like
he doesn't
Leopold,
look...
angry Leopold.
He looks like a really, really angry Leopold. Like, Leopold has always had a kind of reserved emotional state. Like, you generally didn't see him express emotion much at all. And the few times he did, they were generally very subtle. Because one of the things that you kind of learned about him was if he did show emotion at all, that was a really, really big deal.
This is like the Leopold from my nightmares.
Yes.
That I was running from.
Mm-hmm. This is there's a fury in his expression that you've never seen in another living being. The idea of this is something I've mentioned to people before. A lot of people don't understand what the word hate actually means, because the actual emotion of hate is such a strong, powerful, repulsive emotion. It makes you feel sick. It is an extremely unpleasant emotion that a lot of people are not able to experience. It is such a strong emotion. And it is such a negative emotion. And this is a hatred and a fury that you've never seen in another living being. It twists everything about him. And it is such a strong emotion that you can feel it radiating off of him.
Well, speaking of radiating,
Okay.
Vala is just gonna go. This isn't. This can't be him.
Okay.
She will pull out her flute of the piercing flame,
Okay.
and using her last bardic inspiration, she will play the Borello of Rebirthed Embers, targeting herself. And then I'm going to Eldritch Blast Leopold.
Okay. So you guys watch as Argenta pulls out the dagger that you've seen her use quite a few times, places it up to her lips, and she starts playing this kind of rousing bolero. And you can feel the kind of march feeling of it as flames start to kind of dance in unison. Bum ba-dum bum ba-dum bum ba-dum bum bum ba da-da-da-da boom da-dum boom bum bum ba da-da-da-dum boom bum ba. You see flames starting to dance over her hands, and then as it continues playing, while she's no longer playing it, she just points the dagger, and you watch as this burst of fire. Go ahead and make me attack rolls. Again, because he's unfortunately prone, they'll be made with disadvantage.
Okay. First of 3 Eldritch Blasts.
Mm-hmm.
D4s.
Oh, wait, sorry. I need to... Well, this isn't force damage. The Borello changes it into either...
No, you have bless, is what he's saying. Don't forget your bless.
Yeah.
All right, well, 16 plus a D4. So the first one is a 19 to hit.
Hits the side. It's kind of hard to hit him without hitting Argenta. Next one.
Here for this. Disadvantage. Oh. That's an 18. Oh, wait, plus the D4. Come on, 4. That's a 21 to hit.
It's exactly what you need. Second one. If you've seen either of the Full Metal Alchemists, the scene where Mustang is incinerating Lust, you watch as you see as the skin is charred and slowly starts to heal itself from the vampiric regeneration. Before it gets a chance, another bolt is fired.
Third shot.
Yep.
Engage roll. That is a lot.
Jesus.
So 26.
26, definitely. Roll the damage.
That's another 3. Oh, okay, so damage on the first one.
You're taking the second. The first one missed.
Or well, yeah, sorry, second one.
Okay.
Let me see if I get this. Okay, so because the Borello also lets me add 2 of my inspiration dice to 1 spell damage. I'm assuming that's the first one that hits, or
if I can't remember exactly what I wrote. If it says can, you can choose which one you add the damage to, but it's still only going to be one that you get the the damage to.
The damage done by their next spell cast before the start of your next turn is turned into either fire or radiant damage and is increased by 2 of your bardic inspiration dice.
Yeah, okay, so the total damage of this spell, so you're just going to add another 2 bardic dice, not to each
Got it.
hit, but to the overall spell does additional damage.
Okay, so I'll just roll 4d10, and then because of another thing, I get to add my spellcasting modifier.
Yeah.
So I'm rolling 4d10 plus 5.
Would it be plus 10? Because I'm assuming you have Agonizing Blast, right?
No.
Oh, okay. Then never mind.
I have... Sorry, it's been so long since I used it. It's
Is it
Radiant Soul. You get to add when you cast a spell that deals radiant or fire damage, you can add
Oh, okay.
plus 5 to 1 radiant or fire damage roll
Yep,
of that
okay.
spell against one of its targets.
Cool. Then yeah, go for it.
So 18 plus 5, 23
Okay.
radiant damage.
So you guys watch it. Fire explodes. Argenta, you have to kind of shield your face a little bit as the fire. He's still kind of breathing there. You can see bits of his hair have been burnt off. But he's still incredibly angry at you. Argenta, I think Lillian hasn't gone yet either.
And Vala will just... She has just started walking towards the bars.
Okay. You're muted, Lillian.
When I see Baba attack me upon, I use my bonus action to activate my weight of my crossbow.
Okay.
A 7-point damage on fire by crossbow at me upon.
Okay. An attack roll. Again, since he's technically prone, just with disadvantage.
Disadvantage.
Yes. Prone gives disadvantage on ranged attack rolls.
Well, they roll either way. That would be 11.
11. So yeah, the bolt goes and just goes a little bit wide, hits one of the walls behind him.
Right. And that would be alright to do.
Okay. Argenta?
First attack, I'm gonna try and shoot his other knee with fury.
Okay. Again, for you personally, since you're right there, I'm giving you advantage like it would be with a melee attack. Since you don't take disadvantage from being close anyways.
Let's see. With the D4, that becomes a 22.
22, say hit.
But
Go ahead and roll damage. As you place it against the other knee.
6.
Okay. So you place it
Oh
against
wait, no, that's wrong damage dice. Sorry, 12.
12, cool. So you place it against the other knee. You see the other knee go down. He falls down.
Is he paralyzed this time?
Forget about that. What's the DC again?
15.
15. Nope, unfortunately not.
All right.
She fights through the paralysis.
Either way, now that he's on the ground,
Mhm.
she is going to try and just muscle. Not doesn't have to come off. She just wants it open his breastplate.
Okay, go ahead and make me an athletics check. At this particular moment, he's not really able to fight you, but it's really high quality armor, so it's going to take a little bit of effort to do.
That's not 23.
You sit there, and as you place your hands on it, you start pulling, and you can feel your palms starting to get damp as you are pulling so hard on the armor that it's starting to cut into your palms. You take 8 points of slashing damage as you rip the chest cavity of the breastplate off, and it's now hanging by 2 straps, and you can see his chest. He's wearing what looks kind of like a gambeson without all the padding built into it. And it lacks color, just like everything else here.
All right. Just using her hasted action now, because it's both of her attacks.
Mm-hmm.
She reaches into her pack, pulls out one of the wooden stakes that she uses to drive her camping tent into the ground,
Okay.
and is going to try and plunge it into his heart.
All right. Make me an attack roll with advantage.
Strength, I'm assuming.
Yeah. This is effectively, it's an improvised weapon.
Yeah. So 21.
I'll also say ripping the breastplate off has dropped his armor class down to an 18. So goes in, you feel it go through the ribs, pierce the heart. You see cough up blood. You see his face kind of retch itself in agony. And then you watch as the flames slowly leave his eyes. You see the anger and resentment and everything slowly fade away. And you are once again looking at the Leopold that you've met before. And he kind of looks around for a second, feels this incredibly sharp pain in his chest, and he looks down and then looks up. And as he tries to say Argenta, he kind of coughs up some blood. Argenta, what's going on?
She still has that look of pity on her face.
Okay.
It's like determined, but it's pitiful.
Mm-hmm.
You've been corrupted. And I'm not sure if there's any way out of this except with your death.
You see fear slowly start to creep into his face. I can't. And his head kind of rolls and he sees Vala. You see him kind of reach out. Vala, hello, me.
I can't. If I will go to the bars. Can I pass through them or no?
No, the bars are solid.
Well then, this worked so well last time.
You fucking dare.
Vala casts polymorph on herself, turning herself into a cat to squeeze through the bars.
I thought you were going to teleport.
I thought you were going to teleport too, and I'm like, this is going to be epic. Because if you go to a place where you can't see, bad things are going to happen to you all. Because cats can go anywhere the fuck they want, because they're cats. You walk in.
I will then drop polymorph.
Okay.
And go to his side and grab his hand.
He looks at you. Argentas. Frog. Help me.
I know who you are. I'm so sorry.
And you can see the kind of understanding that you're not going to help him slowly coming to his face. I loved you.
She will just lean down and kiss him.
Don't do this. Don't. Still alive, Argenta? What are you gonna do?
Basically, Argenta is going to reload Fury every time it clicks
Okay.
and just start shooting up his limbs.
Okay. So, due to the fact that this has gotten to the point that I would feel uncomfortable describing everything.
Yep.
It takes probably another 10 minutes for all of the life to fade out of him. The end result is not pleasant for anyone who have evolved. Specifically, he kind of spits curses on all of you. Specifically, he targets Vala a little bit with the kind of vitriol of, I can't believe you did this. You're playing, he would also kind of go into the, you're playing into his hands. You'll never be the same. And eventually the last breath escapes from his mangled body.
I think while this was happening, Vala would be like slowly pulling off the armor and looking for any symbols, any like a magical medallion that's around his neck or something.
One of those pins.
A pin.
Looking through, you don't find anything that would indicate some sort of mind control on him aside from the armor itself. But as you are kind of searching, you do find hidden in a pocket that was sewn into his gambeson is a small portrait case, a little kind of locket kind of thing, with a daisy engraved on it in your picture inside.
I will be taking that
Okay.
and putting it in my bag folding.
Okay. As the final breath escapes, you guys hear this loud wailing sound, and you see this wind pick up as this concentrated suffering starts swirling around and creates this almost funnel cloud tornado of suffering around you. And you guys watch as it goes to the roof and blasts a hole in the top of the building and all kind of escapes. And the room that you're in, this incredibly bright white, almost sterile looking environment, loses all of the kind of glowingness of it and reverts to just regular stone. Gray and dull.
Just regular gray dull stone, or like the dullness that you see the
just regular
dark filter?
stone.
Vala is going to very quickly try to drag Leopold's body out of this place.
Okay.
Like out of the center chamber.
Sure. You know, the bars are still there, and as you impact them, they crumble uh, like they were made of wax. You just.
I think over this amount of time, Relwyn has put obviously enough together to understand what has happened. He'll offer assistance to Vala.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything I can do? Can we? I can do
say,
something if you
because
want.
of the trauma that was done to his body. It is not one congruent piece at this point.
We need to reassemble the limbs. And moving very quickly, Vala is going to attempt to cast Revivify.
Okay.
Using a pack slot.
Using a what?
Using one of her Warlock spell slots.
As you do that, everything goes black. You're in a 10-foot by 10-foot circle of light. Around you, the darkness is so thick that it has mass. It undulates and writhes, almost as if it had sentience, trying to break through this barrier of light to consume you. You are there, Leopold is not. What are you trying to do, little Daisy?
I'm trying to bring him back.
It doesn't work that way. He was payment. He belongs to me. This is really bad on my voice.
He doesn't belong to you. He gave his heart to me. He's mine.
Think what you will.
Sorry.
He's gone.
Sorry?
He is gone.
He's not gone.
Suddenly,
He is a part of me.
you're back in the room. You feel the magic flowing into your hands. Casting it is like you're casting it on a child's doll. All right, stop this. There we go. All right. Casting it is like you're casting on a child's doll. It's an inanimate object. The spell doesn't take hold. And if you guys want to talk to him again, you got to wait till next session, because my voice is getting a little raw.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, the spell doesn't seem to work.
I can't speak with dead.
Sure.
No, I would be like, I'm just mocking. I'm not going to do that to you.
No, you're welcome to do it. It's like casting it on a children's doll.
I made another deal with the entity, but it wasn't as... She kind of furrows her brows, and there's still that like look of extreme pity on her face as she's slowly cleaning Fury from all the blood. I got a lot of information, and in return, he just wanted me to make his death very painful and to have everyone watch.
What information could have been worth that?
He wanted... Well, The information was that the Dark Lord directly gifted Leopold to the Dark Entity. This tower made him the master of it, except for the center, because that is owned by the Dark Lord and not Leopold. And Leopold's only job was to create a focal point of suffering, likely to keep this plane intact.
But he was a gift. No, he wasn't ruining. Is that what you're saying?
Bless you.
I just know that the Dark Lord handed him over. That is what I was told. As a gift to that shadowy entity we both spoken to, Vala.
Don't like that entity, and I don't trust him.
Neither do I.
Yeah, you made both of those deals with that.
I've made many deals with people I didn't trust. It's kind of the trick of the trade when you're a mercenary. You just have to know which ones to turn down and which ones to take, and I don't know if I could have saved Leopold. We were planning to kill him anyway.
Seems to be one
Va-
final act of suffering for this tower. Spell.
Yeah.
How much does Vala know about what happens to a vampire when they die? Like, is there being a corpse here an unusual thing for a vampire death?
Kind of. Generally, when technically when a vampire dies or is reduced to 0 hit points, it turns into a mist and tries to go back to its coffin to kind of reform after a set amount of time. It's one of the aspects of immortality that are built into them. The only way to stop that is running water, daylight. Stake can be useful, but it won't permanently end them. Generally, once they're hit with their final death, they turn to dust and go away. Having an actual corpse here is extremely odd for a vampire.
The other thing, the tower itself was made by the entity. I just remembered that.
And we know those mockings are of the abyss.
Yes.
So this entity must, in all likelihood, be from the abyss.
Yes.
Or at the very least have very strong ties.
If anyone wants to roll a religion check to see what all you know about the abyss, you're welcome to.
Can multiple people do it?
Yeah, anyone that wants to can.
I will.
I'm going grab her now.
I don't think a 5 will help. So I'm gonna stand
You're
here.
aware that it starts with an A.
13.
The rest of the letters you're not sure about.
That was it. Come information about feeder attack.
I'm going to say in this particular instance, no.
So I rolled a natural 20
Okay,
for a total of 27.
cool.
And I rolled a 920 for a total of 22.
So between the two of you, the way that the world works, you have the prime material plane. Sitting on top of the prime material plane is the Feywild and the four elemental kingdoms. And they kind of form like a funnel, with the Feywild having a direct connection to the prime material plane in the kingdom of the Kale Isles. Below that is the Shadowfell, which also has a single connection to the prime elemental plane in the kingdom of the Kale Isles. On one end of the Shadowfell is Elysium, which is the seven heavens. And on the other side of the Shadowfell is Tartarus, which is the seven hells. The Abyss is both underneath and above. It exists outside of the planes. There are no connections to the Abyss like there are actual borders between the four elemental kingdoms and the Feywild, where you can actually go to the border of the Feywild and the Tempest Sovereignty, which is the elemental plane of air. The same thing is true about the Shadowfell and the Tartarus and Elysium. There's an actual border where it goes from Shadowfell to heaven. And then between the Shadowfell and the prime material plane, there's an actual portal, a singular portal that you can walk through to get to the prime material plane. Same thing is true about that. There's nothing like that connects to the Abyss. The Abyss just exists outside of everything, and every so often it will leak into a plane somewhere. And anywhere where there's a leak of the Abyss, truly horrible things happen. The Abyss is a plane of chaos. Laws of gravity, laws of reality don't work the way they're supposed to. Creatures that come from the Abyss are embodiments of chaos. Some misguided wizards have attempted to channel abyssal energy. It is never ended in their favor. Ever. It's beyond good and evil. It is an agent of entropy, attempting to undo everything and anything in existence and reduce it to the same level of chaos and entropy.
Bala is still just kind of readjusting and tending to Leopold's corpse.
If it's anything, Vala, I'm truly sorry.
I know what had to be done. And I can't imagine Leopold would have wanted
To continue
to go
being
on
that
the
way.
to continue being that way. But there has to be something we can do. Maybe not right now.
Whatever it is, if you're smarter than me when it comes to arcane and religion, I'll help you.
Thank you, and I'll just turn to Relwyn and I go, I think this is beyond my power.
This may be beyond my power right now as well.
Yeah.
With what's being done to souls, this world, you know what we have to do. If there's any hope of helping him pass on or bringing him back, we have to end this.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way to get it further in the realm right now.
I
So,
half expect this won't just end with the Dark Lord. We're going to come to a head with this entity as well.
oh, totally.
Perhaps, or unless, of course, he's the anchor to the entity, and we sever him, we sever the anchor. Whatever that may mean.
This plane has to exist somewhere. It doesn't exist. I mean, this place. It doesn't exist on the prime material plane. We're not in Tartarus. We're not in Elysium. We're not on the Shadowfell. This place must exist in the abyss, I think. I think the Dark Lord couldn't have done this without that entity.
Well, as far as I'm aware, the tower existed before we got here, before the Dark Lady's influence left, which means the entity's influence was here the entire time.
I wonder if this place is built on top of that.
Could it be more possible that this is intended to be a bridge? If whatever the Dark Lord, as I understand him to be, versus the person you know, he was experimenting. He was creating portals.
Yes, he was trying. So in our original world, we know other planes exist, like the plane of water, the plane of fire, the plane of fairy, but the portals have been closed for a long time. The planes have been separated. He was attempting to bridge that gap. And so were the other nations, but to his whims, essentially.
Sounded more like he was connecting to the wrong type of path.
Relwyn, this is a very, I'm not sure how to say this, but if we try to bring him back later, and she'll just kind of like look down at the multiple severed pieces of Leopold, do we need the entire corpse?
I have very quickly gained abilities far beyond, but as far as I know, what I'm currently capable of, or maybe can be once this is done, to the best of my knowledge, we need the entirety. Unless we become even more powerful, I don't know.
But we all know there's not spell slots above 6.
Keep pushing it, asshole. I'll do a level 8 sunburst.
All right. What is the best way to... And I'll look over at the king and the queen.
They're both kind of horrified with all of you right now.
Does anybody know the best way to preserve a vampire corpse?
I mean, would I? No.
I mean, probably.
I know
Your specialty is a little bit more in not preserving them.
Yeah.
Relwyn actually is. Relwyn is, his domain is literally grave. He
Yeah,
knows,
but
he knows gentle repose, but he doesn't know about that applies to a vampire.
Yeah, vampires are their own kind of special thing.
There is a corpse though.
So I'm gonna leave this to Lillian. Lillian, go ahead and roll with advantage because this is your wheelhouse.
Yeah. What would it be?
I think we can call this a history.
Alright.
Would make sense because you're remembering training.
Do 12.
12. Yeah, like you know quite a few different ways to make sure they don't come back. But I mean, just even looking at what you're looking at here, this is an extremely mangled body, and it's not following the rules that it's supposed to follow. Being a vampire, vampires, you kill them, they turn to mist, and then if you kill them with daylight or running water, they turn to dust. And this has done neither. It's also not acting like a regular human corpse. Like the amount of desecration that you guys did to this in the process of killing him, there shouldn't be this much of a corpse left. Everything about this body defies all logic. But yeah, Rowan, your understanding of resurrection spells that you would be familiar with, seeing as true resurrection has never been a thing in this realm, is you try to resurrect a corpse without all the bits, and you have holes and missing limbs and other things that make the resurrection a remarkably unpleasant experience for everybody involved.
and if they're really integral parts, like say a piece of a vertebrae or a heart, it don't work.
Yeah, very, very bad. Like you'll resurrect someone just so they can die because they're missing a vital organ.
Speaking of Full Metal Alchemist,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Val will
then they spend the entire time just walking around just to realize that they were part of the plan the entire time, and Mustang is the coolest.
Mustang is the coolest.
The greatest scenes in anime ever is just...
Which even more with... It was Travis and Laura. And
Yeah!
Yeah.
Somebody asked him once... if they got mad at each other because they kept killing each other's characters, because they do it in multiple anime. And I can't remember what the response was, but I think Laura's killed Travis more than Travis has killed Laura. Was that pre-relationship
She's blown out
too?
Not at that point, because they knew each other all the way back to
They met during
Dragon Ball
like
Z.
Dragon Ball Z days.
yeah. But she
But-
worked her voice hoarse, doing multiple scream takes.
For
Vala
anyone
will
wondering, it's Full Metal Alchemist. It's an insanely incredible anime. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is even better. Yeah. Anyways.
Vala will begin picking up as many pieces of Leopold as she can find.
It's really bad, but every time I hear the phrase "picking up the pieces," all I can think of is "bun-da-da, bun-da-da, bun-da-da-da, ba-da," which, for those of you that don't know, is a song called "Picking Up the Pieces," which I played in high school because I had a saxophone jazz combo, and we just had an alto, a tenor, and I can't remember what the third one was. Oh, it was a bone, maybe? I think it might have been a bone. Because Ramrod played a bone. Yeah. Anyway, it's a fun song. Sorry.
But-
Well, I figured we were already
That's
assembling
okay.
the pieces when we were doing the
Yeah.
when you were
I'm just
intending to
making one more pass, making sure everything is
Yeah.
there. I'm going to wrap the body in a bedroll
Okay.
and then
No, what is
slowly
it?
and carefully put it into my...
Well, I think while you're doing that though, before you are you putting it in a bag of holding or something?
I don't know what else to do.
Okay. Well, as you're preparing it, I think Rowan will misread initially, and like as we're preparing, and he could do it as a ritual too, but I think he's actually going to do, because it is kind of this thing. He's going to try gentle repose.
Okay.
If anything, out of a sign of respect more than anything else. But just
The spell itself is cast. It doesn't feel like it's affecting the body the way you think it should. But Rowan, you would be the only person that would be aware of that. To anyone else, it looks like the spell is working. So I'll let you decide if you want to tell anyone that you don't think the spell worked.
Okay, so I don't think the spell. I know it's
you are confident that the spell is not having the intended effect.
Okay, so as in not working at all. Okay.
Yeah, but you are the only person that would be aware of that. Visually, it works. It looks like it's working the way it's supposed to. You just being the one that's casting the spell, again, it's like casting it on a doll. You can't gentle repose a doll because it's not dead, it's not alive, it's a thing.
I don't think Rowan would want to hide the fact, because every detail could be crucial.
Mm-hmm.
It's. I'm sorry, it's not taking the way it should.
This may not be.
Wait, you have been describing it as like a doll, right?
I'm not saying it's a doll, but I'm saying it's like inanimate.
Just between
Like
all of you doing that.
a homunculus.
Let me try something. I'm the one that did the damage, right?
I'm open to suggestions.
Argenta, I mean, because the caliber of fury wouldn't create tears bigger than like 6 inches. So what she's gonna do?
Could we not shoot the dead body
No,
again?
No, not that.
I'm gonna say
you're gonna
it's not just the caliber; it's the concussive force. It's the same thing as using a blank. Like you use a blank, the concussive force itself will cause significant amounts of damage. Then the bullet does bad stuff too. So
yeah, it's not so much the entry as the exit.
So anyway, you were saying, sorry.
Yeah, it's a pistol, not a rifle, so it's not gonna like blow him in half, so to speak.
No.
So what she's gonna do is she's going to take the bigger parts, push them together, and then cast mending.
Damn.
Catching you in your own.
No,
verbiage.
what it is you guys are peeing on the ignition again.
What we do best.
Yeah, you guys aren't going. I am going to just put this out here. Because I can't in good conscience not tell you this. This is a mistake that you guys are going to make.
I think if Rowan understands this too, and you're saying this, I think Rowan understands. Like, no.
It works the way it would. The reason I've been using the doll analogy is just the idea that this is an object. This is not a body.
Yeah.
Okay.
And because of the mending, it works like it would if you came across a door that was broken. The mending seems to be working. Now, blood isn't flowing. Like, you're not healing him, but the pieces are going back together.
But you're saying it's a mistake, so I think should Rowan be stopping this?
In other words,
because you said in good conscience, I should tell you this is a mistake.
Lillian, roll me a history check with advantage.
I was only thinking I was doing it to like 2 pieces of arms. I'm gonna put that out there.
I was kind of expecting you starting with smaller bits to try it, and then slowly going.
It takes a minute to cast anyway. So it's like
it's an involved process.
Yeah.
25.
So your order does not generally deal with these almost ever because the amount of magic and knowledge required to create a flesh golem is incredibly difficult. But as you see the first couple pieces start kind of being fused together, you see kind of very familiar scars that when you were trained, you were told by. There was one blood hunter that had actually fought a flesh golem. It's a remarkably unpleasant experience for anyone. But flesh golems, where the pieces are sewn back together, they're literally sewn back together, and they have these strange discolored scars underneath them so that everything works the way it's supposed to. And you are watching as the scars that were described to you are created.
No, no, you are creating a flesh golem. Stop.
Argenta's just like holding the now together hand. Just a hand. She drops it.
See, there happens to quite a behavior is a little bit onset.
Mm-hmm.
I will take your body and see it. Me anything that may be a token.
Ooh. Take inspiration for that. Because it's a great idea. It's not missing anything that would be considered a token, as far as you can tell. I mean, there are so many pieces of it that it takes a while for you to look, but as far as you can tell, it's intact. Or at least it was intact before you unintact it. But yeah. So you would be aware that simply stitching a body back together is not enough to create a flesh golem. It also requires an actual magical infusion, generally also an extremely large amount of electricity. So you think that just putting the body back together would not instantly create a flesh golem, but this is like step 1 of 7.
Yeah.
I think Rowan still recognizes this process is wrong. No, we stop
Yeah.
this needs to stop.
I think at this point, he gathering up what you said, presuming the best you can, and we find a way out of here.
I think we should leave the tower and we go back to town.
Yeah.
We leave it.
Yeah.
We leave your friend with them while
Yeah.
we continue to try to deal with this.
Yeah.
They're talking about leaving the body in town.
In town, since the town is not that far off. It was closest, considering.
I'm not entirely convinced that this is actually Leopold's body. So
It might not be. It might just be where that entity placed his soul.
Right. So I'm fine with that. But I think I want to keep a piece of it.
For anyone watching this as a VOD or on YouTube, this was not where I expected this game to go. I'm just going to put that out there right now. So just to kind of move things along, because it's very, very late.
Yes.
You guys are able to get the rest of the pieces of the body and are able to take it down with you. The first thing you notice when you walk down the stairs is the kind of strange magical feeling every time you've walked up or down a flight of stairs here. Doesn't happen.
My question's going to be on cells.
yeah, as you guys kind of walk through, you can see people kind of waking up from their stupor. You can see the clothing themselves doesn't look like it will ever regain its color, but you can see their faces are starting to look slightly more vibrant. And by the time you guys get to the bottom of the tower, you guys have close to 100 people that have woken up from imprisonment here. I'll say with a combination of your guys' skills and the skills of the people that you have here, again, just to speed things along, you guys do figure out a way to get out of the tower and back onto dry land. And if your goal is to get back to the city...
And if it helps at all, I have the Pearl of Brief Discourse.
Yeah. To get back to score mode, it's not difficult. It's just time.
Yeah.
So you guys have no problem getting back there. Unfortunately, that is where we're going to end it for tonight. As always, if you missed any of this, I do upload all of them to a YouTube channel, youtube.com/TrainerJody. I did also upload my first G.I. Joe character build earlier today. So you can check that as well. Again, youtube.com/TrainerJody. And this Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Central, Tears of the Realms is back, which is my Zelda RPG that I run for Zelda Universe. So anyway, again, that is all for me today, and I will see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye.